Certainly that fall that we saw in gasoline prices over the summer contributed to the downturn we saw in inflation. CPI went from 8.1 to 7.6. So that has helped bring the pressure down on inflation. Apart from that, though, as I pointed out in my speech, inflation has broadened and has increased. So certainly it has helped. What I would say is commodities in general remain volatile. So there's still a chance that we get pressure back up in the other direction. But certainly, if gas prices stay down, it'll help inflation, headline inflation. I think we start every deliberation by looking at what's developed in the economy since our last decision and relative to our outlook. So certainly we did that this time. I would say the three things that really stood out for Governing Council on this decision was first and foremost probably inflation is staying high and inflation expectations are continuing to stay elevated. And also, of course, the Canadian economy remains strong. We're in excess demand. As long as that's the case, you're going to see upward pressure on prices. So, overheated economy, inflation's high and broadening. Our core measures were all up, and expectations remain high. So those three things, I think, were really key to the decision that the Governing Council made yesterday. Look, the Canadian economy remains strong. We're at record low unemployment. We've got 1 million job vacancies available. We think there is room in the economy to cool it and stay in positive growth territory. That's our base case. Certainly we do need, as I pointed out and you mentioned, we need a period of moderation on growth to let demand come down, let supply come back up and rebalance the economy. The bank still sees a path to a soft landing. That's still our objective. We need to cool the economy to get inflation back to target. Of course, we don't want to cool the economy more than we have to. We continue to see a path to a soft landing. As the Governor has said many times, and I said again this morning, is that path narrow? Is it a delicate balance? Absolutely. Ultimately, our goal is to get inflation back to target. We're focused on that, but we're going to do it in the best way possible. We're in an environment of extremely tight labor markets, excess demand and high inflation. And we know employers are very focused on attracting and retaining the employees they need. They need to do that to keep up with the high level of demand for their products and services. Of course, this is going to put pressure on wages. We understand that. We also understand that workers are, they're looking at the rate of inflation and what it's doing to their purchasing power, their budgets, and they're looking at the same tight labor markets and they're thinking, I need a raise. This is also completely understandable. It's not our job to provide advice on wage or price setting. We're talking about this topic because we want Canadians to understand how these decisions affect inflation. The scenario that we're worried about is that Canadians look at the current rate of inflation. They think it's here to stay. They start incorporating that thinking into long-term decision-making. That's the sort of spiral that we talk about. That's the entrenchment that we talk about that would be damaging to the economy. Certainly, if that starts to occur, it makes inflation much harder to get down. It means monetary policy has to do more. Rates have to go higher to get inflation down. So, of course, we would like to avoid that. We think Canadians would like to avoid that too. So that, that's our aim in sharing that information. We'll be watching wages closely. That was one of the things I pointed out in the speech. Really what we need is that supply and demand to come back in balance across the economy and particularly in labor markets. That'll take the pressure off wages.